I think we're back. I think we're back, guys. Like, you'll have to let me know. I think we're back though. I just start just real quick. I mean, Gideon's just gonna make things a pain right here. Such a pain. Like, if he hadn't have drawn the Gideon, then we would have been, well, a lot better off. But I used to love playing blue-white approach decks, but recently found them dry. Jareth Miles, but what if the blue-white control deck has control over the Banhammer? Wow, that's next level. Like, oh my goodness. Like, if they have control over the Banhammer, then, oh, we're in trouble. I mean, they control everything right now. Blue-white control is so good. I mean, it's hard to deny how good blue-white control is. Just tuned in. What's up, Raymond? How you doing? Man, we're having fun. We're having a bourbon stream. We're playing some Magic. We're losing to blue-white control. I was trying to clock them. We just lost like 3 minutes. Right? Oh my goodness. Blue-white control gets like, we must ban Sorcerer's Spyglass to have a good meta. Sorcerer's Spyglass is like our only way to really fight against these Teferi decks right now. I mean, and you need to play it before they play the Teferi. You know that the blue-white control deck, they are going to play the Teferi at some point in the game. So, like, if you have nothing else to do and they're blue-white, call Teferi. Just call Teferi. Doesn't matter if they're holding it in their hand or not. Call Teferi. Against the red-black aggro decks or the red-black decks, most of them have Heart of Kirin. You can call Heart of Kirin. You can stop them. Like, seriously, call Heart of Kirin with a Sorcerer's Spyglass and watch them squirm, right? If they don't have a Heart of Kirin, you can call Chandra. You can call Karn. But most of the time you want to make sure they actually have Chandra or Karn, because like those are still expensive cards that a lot of people aren't playing. But for the most part, yeah. I mean, he's got 10 minutes to kill us. I'm pretty sure he can do it. But he might not be able to. I don't know. I mean, if he can't swing at us until after he ultimates his Teferi, so... That made you laugh. What? Call Island. Right? You can't activate the abilities of an island. I don't... Hashtag winning. Hashtag win. Winning. Do hashtag winning. This way you can be like Charlie Sheen. Right? This is another song I like. So how does this first strike deck hold up against other jank? Great. How does this first strike deck hold up against the majority of decks being played online right now? Probably not really well. So, didn't he just have a Lyra? What just happened? I burned it with a Harness Lightning. Happy Song 2.0. It's okay. No one ever said they want to be like Charlie Sheen. You're right. Nobody ever said they wanted to be like Charlie Sheen. I don't know. Like, Hot Shots was funny. I'm going to make some bodies here, because the bodies are going to allow me to block Gideon. Like, that's pretty much it. I mean, he's still got to kill us in 9 minutes, and he hasn't done that yet, so... Bodies. Let the bodies hit the flow. Smash that like button, everyone. Yes, absolutely, everybody. Smash that like button. We've only got like 30 people left here now. Oh, no. Not the Fumigate. He fumigated me. So what are the tier 1, 2, and 3 decks right now? Okay, well, tier 2... Alright, so tier is one of those like concepts that is different depending on who you're talking to. Retro MTG and Alba T. Ross. What's up, guys? How y'all doing? Let's eat this seal away, right? Probably shouldn't have tapped the extra red, right? Whatever. We're gonna give it haste. And this is, I guess, better than doing 5 or doing fire breathing for 3. So I mean the vigilance, trample, all that other good stuff. We got to hit Teferi. I mean, we get to play around cards like yeah, he's gonna settle us, right? He's gonna settle us. Yeah, settle. Sure, opponent. Turtle Beach stock is up like 60%. I just bought a set for my Xbox One. Yeah, I had to get some Turtle Beaches so I could play some PUBG. And you gotta hear those people sneaking up on you, man. Alright, so I was about to talk about something and I forgot what I was talking about. Right? Can he kill us? Okay, well, I mean, he's about to try to start, so he's got 7 minutes and 30 seconds to do it in, and he's probably going to get there. Oh, yeah, the tiers. Okay, so everyone, like, there's no, like, set, this equals tier 1, this equals tier 1, this is like, if a deck does this, it equals a tier 1 deck. So, the way I like to think about tier 1 decks are, I like to say, if you ask, you know, 10 people what they expect to be in the upcoming large professional tournament. So like the next SEG this weekend, right? If you look at all of your friends that you hang out with and you say, "Hey, what do you expect to be played at those or what do you expect to win?" And out of those 10 people, they're going to give you like 3 or 4 decks that all 10 of them are going to say, like, as of right now, we would say red-black vehicles, we'd say blue-white control, and we'd probably say mono-red, and the green-black constrictor deck. Those are like the 4 decks that everyone that you talk to is probably going to be like, these decks are going to be there. These decks are going to win. They're going to be in the top 8. That's just, you're going to see that. And those are what I call tier 1. The ones that everyone expects that deck to be there. Not necessarily that it is the best deck in the format, but it is the deck that is most likely to take over a tournament. So that is a deck that you kind of got to be like worried about. You got to be at least expecting it. I'm just spinning mana to spin mana, guys. So you have to be expecting those decks. So they are the #1 threat. So that is why I call them the tier 1 deck. So if everyone expects, hey, this deck is going to happen, I'm going to be seeing this deck, like this is going to be a thing, then that is 100% a tier 1 deck. A tier 1.5 deck is all of the decks that those people mentioned, but no one really mentioned, like, not all of those people said those decks. Like, so if you talk to me, I might be like, you know, I think there's going to be a Sultai deck there. I think Grixis is still really well placed in the meta. Like, all of these decks. Like, the decks that are just highly likely to be able to spike a tournament. Those are your tier 1.5. Tier 2 decks are decks that everyone knows it's a good deck. It's a great deck. It's sitting around in the format. It's one of those things that it may be held down by opposing sideboard cards that everyone's playing. Right, like I was actually going to say the blue-red GPG, but blue-red GPG is one of those decks that I currently call a tier 2 deck because it's a great deck that I kind of knew what you meant there with the blue-red. Blue-red GPG is one of those decks that it's just a really good deck. It's floating around in the meta. It's one of those things that people have to be aware of if they don't have our braids or they don't have other ways to deal with GPG. then it's going to destroy them. The blue-white GPG, same thing. That's a tier 2 deck. The deck could easily just take a tournament. However, it's not something that everyone's expecting. So I call those tier 1.5, tier 2 decks. Tier 3 decks are your budget decks. They're the decks that no one expects to win. Tier 3 doesn't take tournaments. Tier 3 takes games. And that's hard to explain to some people. Like, some people don't really understand what I mean when I say take games. Like, it doesn't take tournaments, it takes games. And that's what a tier 3 deck is. Tier 2 decks take a lot of games, but and most of the time they do have the opportunity to spike a GP or something like that, and then you could just see them like show up. Woo! Look at the opponent, and you go for it, opponent. Look at all them triggers. We're so dead. We're so dead. Teferi Ultimate. This sing is your favorite because Pikachu in the background. This song is your favorite, right? 2 hours later, caught the same stream. Not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Is it 2 hours later? Yeah, I started at 9. We're running a little late. It's these blue-white control decks. I mean, he's only got to swing at me twice. Even he has Sorcerer's Spyglass. Like, that's how good that card is. So, yeah. But that's what I call your tier decks. Like, tier 1 is the deck that everyone expects to be there. Did you not swing, dude? Cool. Tier 1 decks are the decks that everyone expects to be there. Tier 1.5 are the ones that show up and win tournaments, but not everyone was really expecting them, but everyone kind of knows they're there. Tier 2 decks are the decks that everyone knows they're in the format, but people don't really, like, they may be held down by certain cards, like, because everyone's playing Magma Spray, you just can't play this, like, deck that's got a Scrap Heap Scrounger in it. Like, that's not true because not everyone's playing Magma Spray. But if everyone started playing Magma Spray, you would see Scrap Heap Scrounger just like die off a lot. So like that's what I call tier. So I hope that explains my idea of tier for everyone. Alright guys, well, I mean, he's got 2 minutes and 47 seconds left to activate this Gideon and swing. We did not clock him. He keeps messing it up though. He's punted this like 3 times. Like, he keeps activating Gideon and failing to swing. Yeah. Ban Teferi. Teferi is probably a little too good, guys. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the card's good. The card's really good. I mean, when you effectively play it for 3 mana, it's pretty good. It is pretty good. You should burn your 13, right? Just sit here and talk to you guys and wait and see if he scoops. Yeah, he's broken, mainly because he allows you to like just keep open the cards that you need to do the counter with. But yeah, blue-red GPG, like this is one of my favorite cards. Our favorite decks in the meta right now. The only thing I don't own for the deck is Goblin Chain Whirler. It's one of the only new changes to the deck, but it's a lot of fun. Like, I gotta play it soon. Let's see here. Let's talk about the First Strike deck. Hey, $25 budget card cannot defeat Teferi. Like, we didn't even come close to doing damage to those Teferi decks. Like, Teferi just toyed with us. Like, we weren't even playing Magic with that deck. So, like, are you going to take this $25 budget deck and go, like, whoop up on your F&M? No, you're not. No. No, you're going to whoop up on the other people that brought cheap decks that were trying to brew with what they were holding. And then you're going to run into someone like Jareth Miles, who plays a tier 1 deck, or you're going to run into someone like myself who at least plays a try-hard deck. So, I'm a spikish like Johnny who plays... no, we're not playing anything else right now. The stream is already over 2 hours long, so we're not playing anything right now. But Like, you're going to run into someone like Jareth Miles, who's like the biggest spike I have ever known. Like, this man wants to play the tier 1 deck. Like, this is the best deck in Standard? Cool. Guess what I'm playing? Best deck in Standard. Done. I like to play the best, most powerful cards in Standard and put them into my own construction. Like, so technically I'm brewing, but I'm brewing with like the most expensive cards or the most powerful cards per slot. And that's kind of like where I'm at with my Sultai Reanimator deck. Like, my Sultai Reanimator deck's more of like a Sultai mid-range, but there's so many Reanimator cards in it that they're just great. Like, I'm playing with Fatal Push, I'm playing with Glensleeve Siphoner, Cast Down, Gifted Aetherborn, Sorcerer's Spyglass, Champion of Wiz, Thrashing Brontodon. Yes, there's a Journey to Eternity. We've got 4 Vraska's Contempt, Gonti, Ravenous Chupacabra, the Scarab God, Liliana Vraska. In the sideboard, like, it's got more of the same. We've got Nissa, we've got Negates, Fatal Push, Duress, Yehini's Expertise, Hostage Taker, more Cast Down. Like, I play with, like, just really powerful cards regardless of price. Whereas, you know, you have Spikes who play with just the most powerful deck. Best deck equals fun, right? That is true, because losing is no excuse for having fun. All right, like, if you say, hey, yeah, I lost, but I had a lot of fun, guess what? If you would have won, you would have had a lot of fun too. So when it comes to decks like this First Strike deck, you're going to beat the other people that are playing around. Like, this is a really good jank deck. It's a really good, like, you know, back burner, tier 3, tier 4 deck. Do I think it's powerful? No, not at all. Not at all. Do I think it's a lot of fun to play around with? Yeah, it's fun, but is it going to win you games? Probably not. You're going to come up against anything that has remote control. Like, even the slightest amount of control is going to stop you. Seal Away, Settle the Wreckage, Fumigate. You're just done. So I do think that, like, these decks are fun, and it's good to see what that they can do in the meta, and that's one of the reasons I enjoy playing them for you guys, is because we need to know what these decks do in the meta. We need to know whether or not we go spend this $25, or we save that $25, add it to next week's $25, pick up a copy of Karn, and then add that to our good deck, or so on and so on. Like, otherwise, like, these decks are a lot of good, and we get to see how they crash against the meta. Zombie Sporing, actually the closest thing to a tier 0 deck right now is probably blue white. When people talk about tier 0, they mean tier 0 is a deck that can't lose. Like, the only way a tier 0 deck loses is it loses to itself with a natural fail rate. And most tier 0 decks don't even have much of a natural fail rate. And that's kind of the blue-white control deck right now. If anything was tier 0, I would say that the blue-white control deck is close to tier 0. But rarely do we have a tier 0 deck in the format ever. And that's by design. You do not want a deck where 75% of the meta is playing a tier 0 deck. Never seen one, but never seen but one tier 0. Yeah, Callblade. Callblade was tier 0. Yes, thank you, Jared. When I started playing, Callblade was in the meta, and you could either build Callblade, or you could build a deck that was 100% designed to beat Callblade. And you could beat Callblade with one of those decks, and I played a blue-red deck that could beat Callblade. But the problem with Callblade was it was so expensive that the majority of players couldn't afford it. So when you go to your F&M, if you had a deck that could beat the 4 or 5 players there that had Callblade, you would do awesome. If you didn't lose to everyone else in matches 1 and 2, and then you would never see Callblade again. So yeah, tier 0 is like when you have 50 to 75% of the meta playing the same deck because the deck is that good. But either way, guys, that's going to do it for the stream tonight. My advice on playing this First Strike deck: hey, it's fun. It's interesting. You're going to lose to blue-white control. You're probably going to lose to anything with Fumigate, Seal Away, that sort of thing. It's just not enough. You just need so much impact per card right now that playing something like Aether Chaser, or taking an entire turn off to play Forebear's Blade, or playing cards like Emissary of Sunrise. That's not going to get you there. Playing cards like Stone Quarry, it's not going to get you there, guys. And when it comes to Stone Quarry, one of the first things I like to tell people ever is buy your lands. Like, if you don't know what deck you want to play, buy the lands. Buy all the lands that come out in the set. Buy the lands. Don't trade your lands. Trade everything else away. Don't trade your lands, because lands will get reprinted. Ziggy Zegler. Did I say that right? Probably not. Ziggy Zegler, first time you've gotten to see me live. Well, you almost missed me, guy. We're about to wrap this up, but yeah, sadly the stream is ending. Yeah, it really is. This is the end of it. I am going to say, like, get those lands, guys. Never trade lands or sell them. Always keep your lands. Lands do get reprinted. Lands always get reprinted. They cycle through these lands. We do see new lands from time to time, but like Sulphur Falls and stuff just got reprinted. A lot of people already had their Sulphur Falls and things like that from the last time they were reprinted. We're expecting shock lands to be reprinted in Ravnica. So it's going to be a great time for you guys to pick up those shock lands, so that you can start playing Modern and things like that. So buy your lands, don't get rid of your lands, have a lot of fun with that. Right. Invest in the real estate. I like the way you put that, Ziggy. I appreciate it. Guys, my name's Eric from SideboardMTG. I've had a lot of fun playing this deck. I hope that you guys have had a lot of fun watching this deck. Oh yeah, return to Ravnica. Somebody watches Rudy. Yeah, he was ranting about it pretty good. Encore for Ziggy. Hefe, like, no, we're not doing an encore. Like, we're already 14 minutes over. YouTube's got a thing about anything over 2 hours, so like we're already 14 minutes over. But right. Plus, if you ever play Eternal formats, you don't want to spend that salty $20. For a subpar land. That is true. Guys, I hope you all had a lot of fun. I had fun. We had a blast. We've got more budget decks coming up. I've got a bottle of bourbon, so I've got nothing better to do with my bourbon than to hang out with my friends here on Magic the Gathering, here on YouTube Gaming, and play with you guys. So, Deb's putting out an entire week of budget decks, so I'm going to drink some bourbon, play some budget jank decks for you guys, watch them get crushed by blue-white control, and we'll have some fun. We'll figure out something. Either way, guys, my name's Eric. We'll see you next time. SideboardMTG out. I'm shaking my head at you right now, Hefe. I changed Patreon games so we can do encores now. This is what we get. This is it.